Okay, so this is Adobe Premiere 2019, and but it kind of doesn't matter. It's going to work with other versions. Although you're not going to really want to have any older versions. Try to have as updated as possible. And so this is how you want to do a green screen setup. So now if I take this picture here and I disable it, it's going to be a black screen. But if I go to this frame, this section here, this is when I'm recording it on the back screen. I'm using two cameras, so we're in the two camera mode for switching back and forth between the two different cameras. And this is the green screen in the back. Now you want to try to brighten up your green screen as much as possible with light. So I use 4 lights. I set up 2 umbrella lights that are shining just on the green screen on the left and right side. And then my other 2 lights are lighting up the subject, which in this particular case is me. One on each side. I might have one up a little higher. So this is basically the setup that I have. And then my background picture, which is this one, which I have, I'm using. I go in and I use Photoshop to take out anything in it that I don't really wish. And you can choose whatever background photograph you want. You can even use a video as your background. If you have a video of, say for example, a waterfall or race cars or snowstorm, whatever you want to do, you can use a video. It doesn't have to necessarily be a photograph. So it's all about layers. Your back layer is going to be your back image of the background. And then the next layer is going to be your actual video. And then the next layer after that is going to be text, or maybe you want to cut in some pictures, drop in some pictures into the video. You're going to put those on the next timeline. So it's all about layers. And the layer technique even goes back to film. You'd have different layers of film on top of each other to get different images. So usually when you bring this timeline in, it's going to want to put this with the sound together right next to each other, and you can take them and move them apart so that you have your space in between. Okay? So the next step is, here's the background, this picture, and then this is a black picture. So say this particular one right here, we're going to highlight it, and then we're going to go up to Effects. So, and then over in Effects, Video Effects, we're going to go to Keying, and we want to go down to Ultra Key. You're going to grab that Ultra Key, and you're going to bring it over, and you're going to drop it in right there. So now that key is in there. And then over here in this window here, we want to come down to the effects for keying. It's right here. Now you want to change the default to aggressive, like that. And then you want to change this color here to your background. So you're going to take the eyedropper and you're going to bring it over to your background. eyedropper. Just gotta hit it right and get the eyedropper. And then what you're gonna do is you're just gonna drag it a little bit in the green area, and that's gonna make your image black. Now these places where you see white, that is something with your green screen, like a wrinkle, most likely a wrinkle. So they're shadows from wrinkles in the green screen and not getting quite enough light on it. Now it may not matter. It may matter and it may not matter. And you just have to give it a try. But generally speaking, you want to get rid of these blacks and have a good background on your setup. So here's the picture that we are choosing. I'm going to re-enable it, and there you go. Now sometimes those wrinkles, you could be hiding them in the background, like here it's in that tree, so you're not going to see it. But sometimes it's going to show up, and you either want to pick a different photograph or keep selecting the green until you can get it. Now you can also use masks to mask out those areas also. But this is how it's going to work for us. So this is using just a simple photograph for this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep increasing the size of it to go behind everything. Just like that. So you want to just use the same photograph and you just make it long. Now you could change this background picture to different backgrounds too. There's not really a limit to it. So, like maybe if you're doing like a newscast, you're going to put, you know, different topics of pictures in the background or video, talk about the thing that you're talking about. There's a lot of flexibility. The only limitation is your imagination. Now, another thing that you can do is so we have the first two frames set up, that one and this one, and now this one goes back to the green screen. So what you can do is you would highlight this frame and you go to your keyboard and you would do a Control-C, which is a copy. Okay, and then you could go to the next one, you can go to this one, select the frame, and you can do a paste. Now it's not any kind of paste, it's going to be a paste. You're going to copy over your particular attributes, and it's paste attributes. So it's Control Alt V. So you can either use the pull down menu, or you can use the Control Alt V. So I'll just show you here. So we're going to do Control Alt V and see here the Alt key is being pasted over. Now the advantage of doing it this way versus just going in and setting it up for time, if you've gone in and made any kind of special effects adjustments to quality or to speed or changes in audio, you know, different kind of things, you can copy all that over directly into that frame. Now the disadvantage for me is that, oh, there you go. So you're not going to be able to see this because it's down below where I have it selected, but it is an OK prompt, and then you're going to hit OK. Now it's a question about whether or not this is a faster way to do it or not to go through the video. But there you go, you've got the background again. Now some of these other adjustments over here have to do with this line that forms around the character. See if I can go back to my screen. Making that bigger. So these other adjustments up here, you could do is you could get a better effect of this. So this actually looks pretty good. It was a true guidebook for any pilgrim going a long journey. But if you had a lot of fuzziness and stuff on the edges, you could go in and play around with these different settings, just so that we're off of it here. The blend mode is normal, but you can adjust the blend mode so you have a little bit, you know, and you recognize all these things. You've seen these before. They're in the Photoshop, they're in they're in a lot of other programs. They've kind of used these same settings in other programs too, not just Adobe, just so that people can move from one program to the other. And you can kind of play around with some of these other things to try to get something. Some things you just can't fix using all these features. You really need is a good lighting onto your green screen, a really good distinctive lighting, and you want to try to get rid of as many of the wrinkles as possible. More light, less wrinkles, which could be kind of a tough thing to do when you have a home studio. That, you know, you can set it up and stretch the fabric and stuff, but it tends to be kind of a challenge, particularly if you have cats that like to play with the curtain. So that's about it. I can just go down the line now and continue to do this. So it's Control Alt V brings that up. You hit enter. You go to the next one. Now I have a lot of little cuts in it because I'm switching between the different angles, but if you're only shooting with one camera, you may not necessarily have that, but you've got to deal with your jump cuts. So one of the reasons why I use two cameras is that if I have to cut things out, sneezes and coughs and you know, do-overs, cell phone going off during the middle of a video. You can use a different alternative to make, when you make the cut, it'll have an alternative spot. So that way you're switching back and forth between two views instead of having a head jumping back and forth. in the images. It's kind of distracting to have jump cuts. Jump cuts are when you make a cut and then your image jumps from one place to another in the screen. That doesn't really make sense. Cross dissolves can kind of fix them, but they don't fix them all the way. And so shooting with multiple cameras is a cool option. So I hope this helps somebody out there. If anything, I'm going to post it so that I can look back and say, oh yeah, that's how you do it. Because if I don't do it all the time, I kind of forget the little details. And there's tons of videos out there for shooting with green screens. They're just not as cute as mine. So, and as you can see, this is one of my Christmas videos. So, hope this helps. Ta-ta.